Right, back again. Cleaned a load of things up. Spent about, I don't know, an hour or so, something like that. And everything in there all nicely clean, blown out, you know. At this stage, we've got to be spotless. We don't want any contaminants in there whatsoever. And as however long it takes to do that, get it clean, is however long it takes, you know. That's really, I suppose, the rule to work by on that one. We've got it all in there, got all the bits out. Started to take the seals out. Now these seals are shot. They wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes if I'd have fitted this thing without putting this resealing kit in there, like. So, good job we did. So let's get on with putting these seals on. I'll show you which way they go around and the ways of getting them in and out. The way I do it, and this is how it goes. So let's get the camera down here again so we can see the details as such, and bring it down, bring you in. There you go. Right. Now what we're looking at there, I've just taken this seal off there. If you can see, there's like a recess around that. It's very different, not an easy thing to see, I know. But if you turn it around, it's all flat. Turn it around there, it's got the recess in it, and that's come off from that way. So when I was looking at it, I can see all that little recess. I don't know whether you can see it on the video there. All this rubber here is all perished away, fundamentally doing naff all really. You know, obviously it's knackered. Now, how you get them out, it's fundamentally, because it's knackered, you can be as rough as you like. All I do is get the screwdriver down there, poke it down and rip them out, and then chuck them straight in the skip, because obviously they don't fit for anything else. But putting the new ones back in, you need to be a little bit more careful. Now, as a way of making this video, you know, presuming people have never done this before, or maybe never attempted something like this before, I tend to, how can I say, one seal at a time is the easiest way of saying that, isn't it? There's a little bit of grunge on there that I haven't done, which I'm going to put on the Y wheel, and where the you know, where the bit of water, moisture's been in there, contaminated it a little bit. So I'll give that a quick whiz on the wheel while I'm thinking about it. Just a bit of a clean there, get that with that bit of rust on. So we'll get back on there, and we'll go through a seal kit till we find the right seal. And in this particular case, I know it's neither one of those because they're coming later. Coming down there. Right. And when you look at that, you can fundamentally see in your kit, now there's two seals there. There's a small seal in your kit. You know, there's no, where are we on there? Small seal in the kit. Obviously you've got a smaller seal on one end of this shaft, so we can confidently say that's the one. And I'll say that's the one, and again it's a new one. You can see it's got, you know, I don't know if you can see again, you've got nice clean edges there, etc. Good sealing edges. Now a lot of people use a number of different things for putting these around there. Now this is a piece of just a silicone grease in there, and I put that on there. I'm putting that on the back of there, just a little bit on there, and we push that over, gently pushing it over. It allows a nice little piece of lubricant there, just to get this seal over and to sit in its place just nicely. You can see how it's sort of gone on there, and it's sort of, I don't know, you can, it's quite obvious, I don't know, you can see the difference there from the old rotted rubber. Now you can just use brake fluid on this, but I find, one, brake fluid is horrible stuff to start with, and from the safety point of view, you're not really supposed to get your fingers caught in brake fluid. It's one of those chemicals that you know, Mr. Health and Safety guy said there not to use, you know, so I don't mind using it if I'm not stuck. But you see, I've put the needle under there, you know, it's actually a needle, it's actually a scribe. Let's have it right, put it under there, slide it through and just rip them out. Like I say, they're no good for anything. Get them out of the way, chuck them away, and then always give it a little nice bit of a wipe round under there. Ah dear. Yeah, sorry about that for a minute. Just going to check something on there. I kind of knew I was right. It sounds awful maybe. I knew I was right, but for a second there I just thought, just need to test that and check that for sure. This seal on this particular shuttle here, which is basically what it is, it shuttles backwards and two. It has a seal facing that way and a seal facing that way, which is pretty well how I thought it was going to be, but I wasn't 100% sure. 100% sure meaning you know exactly what it is without any effort whatsoever, of any doubt whatsoever, because guess what we're doing here? We're playing with brakes. So if any time you're not quite sure, I would suggest about anything when you're doing a brake system, don't do anything, just stop, because the consequences can be a pain in the arse and you might not survive the day. And this is a bit of a pain. You've got to be very gentle with these things, not to touch them. You've just got to get them over the end here, and this looks very small to go over here, but it is the right seal, and it's a bugger to go down. Ah, you bugger, nearly had it then. You put the grease on it just so it goes nice and easy down there, but believe you me, it isn't nice and easy. There you go. They go on. It's just that when you think about what you're doing with them, it feels really brutal. But you know, it is what it is. You can see kind of, well, you can actually see that now when you look at, I'll get me what's here. When you get at that edge there, you can see how it tapers out. That's facing the pressure from there. This one here on this side, this also tapers that way, so that's facing the pressure in that direction there, so it can shuttle back and two, and that's how, you know, that's fundamentally what it does. It's a shuttle valve, possibly, yeah, call it shuttle valve, and that's basically doing that. Now I did remember in the instructions on these things, plenty of lubricant on there, purely and simply because they're excuse me, this needs to move like freely, and it never needs to seize up. If it seizes up, you can get issues with the braking sticking, brakes dragging, you know, problems you just simply don't need. So we got it on there. We can go. There's my spring. There's my spring. Fits that side in there. Put them on that, put them on there, and this little circlet there, pushing back in. Ensure these things go home correctly. That's it. I tend to, nothing I can say there. Put my little scribe. If you haven't got one of these scribes, get one. It's really handy for tools. When I scrape it around like that, you can tell it's actually sat and located in its groove, which is exactly what you want it to do. This is all in there now, so we ended up with this. Now this here as well, it's a rubber grease, silicone based rubber grease, and it has loads of this in it, so we can keep this thing from seizing up anywhere in its time. I'm being generous with it. Got the unit is going in. Plenty round there too. It's not cheap shit grease, this, and it's good quality stuff. And it's going in there. Plenty in. Don't worry about it being wasted. It won't be wasted. We put plenty of this in from when they built it from the factory. Wouldn't be having problems like this. Pushing down. It's gone in there nicely, that has. You can feel that nice and loose in there. Nice and loose. We'll line that up so the hole. It's got a hole in there. If I bring that out slightly. And we'll get them out again. Which shows that's in correctly. I'll actually fit that in now, as we're at it at the moment. Push him in and put him in the right way around. The right way around being that way. And we can leave that there for a minute now. And push all the other sides in. So it might make life a bit easier if we can get that plug in there. I'm just wondering if there is one in that kit for it. Ah dear, right, sorry about that. Yeah, we didn't realise that the camera SD card filled up. Not missed anything. All I've done is put a new seal on there. I think when I left, just stopped a minute ago, I was just checking which seal goes there because there's two very similar. One is actually a piston seal, another one is just a seal for the outer ringer there. But they're actually the same size and they've got different edges on it, etc. So just clarifying that. But this is basically just a flat seal in there to basically stop any bypass of fluid or anything like that getting through to it. That's held in there. So that's basically all I've done is just push the push that plug back in there. You know, that was the pain in the arse one that we couldn't get out. So now we're on to the main one. So I cleaned all that out. I'm going to put a bit more of my wonderfully expensive grease down there, so it's nice and lubed. Because if these things start sticking, like you say, you can have big problems. And putting it back in goes the spring. You know, as much of that grease and lube down there as we can. It's got it in there anyway. That only sits on the end of there. Now I've just swapped the seal on there as well, which is quite a simple affair, wasn't it? All we've done is this and there, and that's facing that way towards the bottom as we're looking at it like that. Faces in, and a lot of these things actually can be very self-explanatory. If you put that on there and check it against your spring, you can see where that spring sort of locates in there. You know, it's, if you kind of watch them as you go apart, you know, you take them apart, you can actually, they kind of tell you how they got to go back together again. Again, if that isn't facing, that seal's facing the wrong way, it won't seal anything, it'll just bypass and you'll have no brake. Which is not what we, you know, it's not what we set out to do, is it? Now we've also got to remember to put this little ball bearing back in there. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of grease in that hole, just so it'll stop in nicely for me. Sits in there. Like I say, if you've lost it, then I don't know what you're going to do. You're just going to have to hunt yourself down forever and a day till you find one of them. Right, I'm going to push that down now, and I'm going to hope it'll stay down. Now be careful how you push it in, because the seal's got to go into its own little space. It's gone down. Stuck down a little bit there, which is okay. It's okay because is it okay? I'll tell you what, I'll bring it back out a little bit and use that, just a bit of compressed air, because I want to locate that on it as well. There you go. Sticking it down the bottom there. Just stick it into its end there, just so it's just below the surface of there. And then we can get that in it. You twat. That's not what you want to happen, but that is what happens. It shoots out. Shoots out the end. Because it's now nice and lubricated. Is that a mistake? It is really, but it's, you know, I'm just hoping that my little ball bearing hasn't jumped out, and it hasn't. So we got away with that. I don't even know why it's in there, to be honest with you. I honestly don't. But, you know, it is. It's in there and it does something. You wipe that off again and put a bit more lube around it. I suppose if you leave that bit in the video, it'll show you that if you're not careful it will flirt out against that spring. Push it down a little bit. And then that's got to go in it next, which is like a little top hat thing with, again, with another little spring on it. Fits in the centre of there. Within that. And then all this lot goes down there with the end of that. I'm going to keep my finger on that this time. And that presses up the back of that, if you know what I mean. All that goes in there, that goes in there. I'm going to put that top hat in there first. Get that in that. I've got a terrible feeling it's going to jump out on me again, which will be really piss me off if it does, but if it does, it does. Put a nice little bit of lubricant around this outer seal. Again, that goes in, facing the pressure. Not sure whether that would be considered too much lube, but it doesn't for me. It'll suit me, that will. Get that little thing inside of there now. Again, pushing that into there. And all being well, that there pushes in on the end. Now that piece there was to replace the bits, remember, that we couldn't get out because it was all tight. So what I'm going to do is slap myself a little bit of my favourite little bit of rubber grease here, all the way around it. So should we ever have to do this again, or anybody else have to do this again at some point, any luck, that might not be stuck in quite so tight. But it'll be nice and lubed in there with a nice piece of grease. And that's it. That is that bit back together, piston wise anyway, in there. Now